Welcome back to The Fight, and we promised that we were going to meet a little puppy. We're going to meet some people, too. Dawn Van Houten is the CEO of Duo Dogs here in St. Louis, and Sara Newton is the Chief Development Officer, and Sara has Muffin the dog. Ladies, great to have you with us. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
So I became aware of Duo, obviously with Barkley, but then, as you know, my son was dealing with cancer, and there was a Duo dog named Houten that during chemo was with Patrick all the time, and Patrick kind of fell in love with Houten, and I found out about what Duo does. Dawn, tell us what the mission of Duo Dogs is.
So we breed, raise, and train service dogs to help improve lives. So mobility dogs, hearing dogs, PTSD dogs, facility dogs like Houten is one of our dogs. And so we're a nonprofit. We place our dogs at no cost to our clients. And so that's why we look to St. Louis for support.
Sara, I'll ask you this, since you are holding the main act here in Muffin, right? Yeah, she is so cute, so adorable, as a Black Lab fan myself. What does a successful duo look like between dog and handler?
So that is a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. One of the things that we do at Duo is we create extraordinary bonds between people and dogs. So really, that bond that Muffin and I have, where I can take her out, I can expose her to different elements, will really set her up for success for her career in the future. We don't train our dogs for specific jobs. We really want them to be happy. So as a volunteer puppy raiser, exposing her to different sounds and environments will really help the trajectory of her future career.
And here in our building today, Dawn, we also have some touch therapy dogs.
So it's interesting. I'm so glad we were able to get both here today. So, and that's really the other part of our program is the Duo Touch Therapy program. And so these are volunteers, they're Duo volunteers with their own personal dogs who have been trained to be part of the Duo Touch Therapy program. And so it's a 16-week training. There's a temperament evaluation that happens at the beginning and then halfway through. So it's not for every dog, but there's a lot of really nice dogs that do it, and there's about 300 of those right now working in St. Louis.
And so the holder of the dog, the person that owns the dog or that has a dog in their family, they actually come in like once a week for training? Is that the way it works?
So
for touch therapy?
Well, for touch therapy, it's a 16-week certification, and then you're done.
Okay, got it.
And then you get recertified once a year, and then once every 3 years after you've done it for a while. Now these guys, the volunteer puppy raisers, come in once a week for training. So it's a lot more. When I hear people say they're going to foster a puppy, that's not what they do at Duo Dogs. It's not fostering, is it, Sara?
Well, and explain what being a puppy raiser is as you raise Muffin right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Muffin came into our family home at 8 weeks old. She'll be with us for the next year and a half. And as Dawn mentioned, I do go to Duo, even though I work there, once a week with training with her litter mates. So Muffin is part of the Sweets litter. So we take class with 3 of the other siblings. And again, it's really about exposing her to different environments and sounds to help her grow. But I do have to turn her back in. So telling my children that when they say, meet my puppy, I say, it's not our puppy, guys.
How hard is that? How hard is it to return the dog so that, you know, Muffin can succeed in somebody else's life?
So turn-in day is a very emotional day. It's happy tears, it's sad tears, but more happy than sad because we're really, you know, as volunteer puppy raisers, creating this dog who's going to go on to help an individual or in a hospital setting, maybe to help kids. So it really is a feel-good moment, if you will.
And how often does it happen that a dog just doesn't have it to be what you're training it to be?
So that's a really good question. So actually the national average for a success rate of a service dog or assistance dog to be is 50%.
Oh, wow.
In St. Louis, for us, it's closer to a little bit over 70%. We just really fine-tune everything that happens from the moment they're born. We're already preparing them to be a service dog. From the moment how they're handled, even in the whelping room at Duo as itty-bitty puppies, we're also preparing them. So it takes a lot to do that.
You know, we're going to have a list later on in the show and give a list of our favorite sports dogs. And I'm sure this name will pop up on the list, maybe a little spoiler for our listeners. But what impact did Duo dog Barkley have on the Blues organization?
Do you know about this, Randy?
I do.
Do you want to tell it, or do you want me to
No,
tell
go
it?
ahead and tell them. You
So-
know it from day one.
So the year that they won the Stanley Cup was also the year that Barkley was placed with them as an ambassador dog. So it's interesting. So we had the social media team from the St. Louis Blues come over for a volunteer day. They came to visit us, and they were telling me about the experience that year. And they said, Dawn, early in the year, we didn't have a lot of good news to share, but we always had good stories to share regarding Barkley because of the impact he was making on the team and the staff there. And so I don't know what happened, but later in the year, I think they did win the Stanley Cup. So, maybe he had something to do with that. And he works for the foundation, the Blues for Kids Foundation. So he visits kids, in their kids' reading programs. And so he's a really busy boy over there.
No doubt. Sarah, you mentioned the sweets litter.
Yes.
Explain what you're talking about, because I kind of have an idea, but what is the sweets litter?
So we have companies and individuals who come to Duo and are really interested in naming litters. So we do have naming rights, and Vermeer Midwest named this litter. So basically what they did is they came up with a couple of themes and they supplied some names, and then our chief canine officer, Chrissy Smith, kind of yay or nayed it. But she loved the sweets, so let's see if I can get them all. The girls are Eclair, Nugget, and Muffin. And then we have truffle, sherbet, cannoli, mochi, and pudding. Not pudding, pudding. And he's the big guy. He's the big guy.
Big yellow guy.
Yeah. So, and actually, we had one from the MASH litter, and her name was Margaret, and she was one of the 30% that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And so she's Maggie now, but we had Hawkeye. It was from the TV show MASH.
Yeah.
Hawkeye and Blake and the rest of that gang.
Yeah, I think MASH was celebrating a year reunion or that year too. So it was there's a lot to that. But yeah. Hawkeye, yeah.
Now, you guys talk about how a dog might not make it. And I'm curious, when do you know that the dog just isn't going to make it as a service dog of some kind?
So there's really a couple of reasons why they might not make it. One would be a health concern. Even though we take a lot of time and effort to look at genetics and health concerns for the mom and dad, just to make sure hips, eyes, elbows, heart, all those things are good. So if by chance something's wrong with a hip or an elbow, then they're automatically released because we can't pass that along to a client. The other reason we might release them would be behavior. And so the training team are really the individuals that determine when enough is enough. And so, and it could be just nothing horrible, but it could be they're just not meant for that. So, for example, perhaps they're just really hyper, that happens. Or once in a while, there'll be one that's kind of a scaredy cat, that is fearful. And so a fearful dog, you don't want them out working with an individual or facility just because they can be kind of unpredictable. So, but the trainers are really the ones that do it. And it can happen at 6 months, it can happen at a year, it can happen at a year and a half. So it really depends on the professional opinion.
Sarah, I was amazed in watching the dogs be trained for sense training. What amazing sense of smell the dogs have and what they do. Does anything ever amaze you about what the dogs are capable of?
I'm not just biased because I'm raising this one, but the sweets litter in particular are so smart. We're in class and Chrissy is moving ahead because they're just all picking up so quickly. When you mentioned the sense, she learned the touch, the basic touch with the nose on the hand when she was probably 9-10 weeks old. So I'm amazed just how brilliant this litter is.
Look at it, she's just asleep in your arms right now. I am smiling about that because it's just like a baby. I have a newborn at home, so it's just like a little baby in your arms.
Sarah gets a lot of credit. she works constantly with Muffin, and she has a full-time job too. So we work together at Duo, so I get to see her, working her, and so it's a lot. Look at you, sweetheart. Girl.
Dawn, you mentioned that you're a nonprofit. How can the general public get involved, whether it's through a financial donation or volunteering to be a puppy raiser or some other aspect of what Duo does?
So a couple things. One, you can go to our website and learn more about us there. There's a donate now button there, because I have to say, Randy, funding is the biggest thing, for us, because when we look at what it takes to create one of these dogs, so to raise, place, it's a $50,000 investment over 2 years. So there's a lot of funding that we need to know, and then we place them at no cost. So we're not passing that along, to our clients. So funding is a big one. And then you can also come to our events. That's another fun way. So we just had our Duo Gala in March, and so our next one will be coming up next March. But our trivia night is coming up on June the 6th. And so there are still tables that can be purchased, and there's opportunities to sponsor and participate there. You've done the trivia night. I've seen you there.
You're pulling at his heartstrings when you say trivia night.
So we'd love to see you again. And then we have our Duo Dash in the fall, which is our 5K run, 1 mile dog walk. What day is that in September?
September 12th. And that's the only event where we allow the general public to bring their own dogs. So it's a huge hit in the St. Louis community.
It's Tower Grove Park. It's on a Saturday morning this time.
Yep.
Saturday morning, so yeah.
And I have to believe, and maybe even more post-pandemic, and with all of the mental issues that are confronting our nation and our world right now, the demand must be extraordinary at the moment, right?
It's extraordinary nationwide, and so we're doing the best we can to meet demand as best we can. So our touch therapy dogs as well, there's a lot of demand for where they visit. So we have 150 facilities that they visit, and then we have 80 active working dogs that we also support out there, in addition to the 50 in training. Wow. So.
By the way, and I need to mention this too, we talked about being a puppy raiser or getting involved with one of the events. Tell us about Whelper Helpers.
Oh, everybody loves the Whelper Helper. And so that is a volunteer opportunity during the first 8 weeks of a puppy's life. And so they're actually born at Duo Dogs in our space. And so for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 8 weeks, Whelper Helpers are volunteers that play with the puppies. They take care of the puppies. So there's cleanup involved, I will tell you that. But there is lots and lots of fun. And you've been a Whelper Helper.
Yes, that's how I met Muffin's mom, Garmin, at 4 weeks old in the whelping room. I fell in love with her. And I was just telling Dawn, I campaigned very hard to get her. This October will be 3 years that I've been raising Garmin, Muffin's mom. And Muffin was one of her puppies from the first litter. So we'll breed Garmin 2 more times, and then she'll retire.
Wow.
And then
go ahead. No, take it.
The puppy cam.
Yes.
So you have to know about the Duo Dogs puppy cam. So when we do have puppies in the whelping room, we have a puppy cam on them from 9 in the morning until 9 at night. And thousands of people turn in to watch the puppy cam. They tune in to watch it because you can see these puppies as they're growing and playing, and so it's very popular. So we'll let you know when the next litter is there so you can tune in and watch
And that's at your website, which is?
duodogs.org.
Okay, great.
Exactly what I was going to ask, Randy. Way to take the words right out of my mouth. Sarah, though, quickly, I wanted to know, how many dogs have you actually worked with?
So this Muffin will be the second Duo dog that I've raised. I am a retired touch team, so I did touch with Duo for 4 years with my husky Mishka. So I've been part of the Duo-verse, if you will, for half a decade, and I look forward to more decades more. So this will not be the last puppy that I raise. Don't tell my husband. But I'm looking forward to raising more Duo dogs.
Yeah, she was a volunteer long before she was a team member at Duo. We were so happy to have her on the Duo team. It's been really good.
Well, what the dogs are able to do and what you do to get them to where they go is absolutely remarkable, and it's necessary. And so we really appreciate it, and we appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much. We really had a good time.
Thank you. Dawn Van Houten, she's the CEO of Duo Dogs, and Sarah Newton, she is the development director. You can learn more at duodogs.org right here in St. Louis, and you can help out, and we'd love to have you do so. Coming up next here in The Fight, we've got The List, and it's our favorite sports dogs of all time. Stick around.